Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures that might be sitting right in your pocket change, and today we're diving into one of the most fascinating and mysterious stories in modern numismatics, the 2003 1-cent coin that reportedly reached a staggering value of $13 million, not because of its age or rarity in mintage numbers, but because of the incredible errors and minting mistakes that make this small copper-plated coin one of the most talked about and sought after modern American coins in circulation, a piece that has captured the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters across the globe, because finding one could literally mean turning a penny into a fortune overnight. The 2003 Lincoln cent might look ordinary at first glance, featuring the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but hidden beneath its reddish copper surface are minting quirks, striking mishaps, and metallurgical oddities that have transformed an otherwise common coin into one worth millions. To understand how such an occurrence is even possible, we need to explore the history of the US Mint during the early 2000s, when production volumes were high and precision had to meet deadlines that left little room for error. The Mint in 2003 struck billions of pennies, mostly in zinc with a thin copper coating, continuing the composition that had begun in 1982 after copper prices skyrocketed. These coins were meant to be uniform and perfect, but amid the mass production, a handful of extraordinary mistakes slipped through the cracks. Coins struck off-center, double-die obverse errors, broad strikes, off-metal planchets, and even coins with missing layers of copper or distorted lettering that defied normal quality standards. One of the most astonishing examples reported by collectors was a 2003 1-cent coin that appeared to be struck on a bronze planchet, weighing closer to 3.1 grams instead of the expected 2.5 grams, which immediately signaled something remarkable. That extra weight indicated it might have been struck on leftover bronze planchets from decades before, an error so rare that when authenticated, such coins could command massive prices at auction. Imagine finding such a coin in your change and realizing it's composed of an outdated metal mixture that shouldn't even exist in modern circulation. That's the kind of minting anomaly that drives collectors wild. Another major category of valuable errors from 2003 involves double-die strikes, where the coin's design is impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating a ghost-like shadow or doubled appearance on the letters or numbers, most commonly visible on Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date 2003 itself. When magnified, these doubling effects look like a misalignment, but to trained numismatists, they signify a true die error, something that happened during the engraving or striking process at the mint, and examples of such errors can raise the value of a coin from 1 cent to thousands or even millions depending on clarity and rarity. One of the confirmed varieties in 2003 showed noticeable doubling in Lincoln's eye and the words E pluribus unum on the reverse, and when authenticated by grading companies such as PCGS or NGC, it became an object of fascination and intense bidding wars. Add to that the fact that even tiny imperfections on such a coin can dramatically affect its grade and desirability, and you begin to see why a few error coins can reach valuations of $13 million, part rarity, part mythology, part collector obsession. There's also the possibility of off-metal planchets, an error where a coin is struck on a blank meant for a completely different denomination or composition. In some cases, coins from the early 2000s were struck on planchets meant for dimes or foreign coins, leading to incorrect size, color, and weight. If a 2003 penny were mistakenly struck on a foreign coin blank, for instance, or even on a steel planchet intended for another denomination, it could become one of the rarest specimens in the world. These are the anomalies that push ordinary coins into the realm of legend. And when collectors talk about the 2003 cent worth millions, they often refer to specimens that not only carry one error but multiple overlapping mistakes, a double die struck on the wrong planchet with off-center alignment, for example. Each layer of error exponentially increases its rarity. The condition of the coin, too, plays a monumental role. A pristine, mint-state specimen showing strong doubling, flawless luster, and intact details could become a centerpiece of any high-end collection, while a similar coin in worn condition might fetch significantly less, though still far above face value. The psychology of collectors also fuels the massive valuation. In the numismatic world, rarity and story often intertwine. It's not just the physical error that creates value, but the narrative behind it. The idea that a small, seemingly insignificant coin managed to survive mass production with such flaws intact and still reach public hands captures the imagination. Auctions have shown how powerful that allure can be. In the past, similar Lincoln cents with significant mint errors, like the 1955 double die or the 1983 copper transitional error, have sold for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. The 2003 cent, however, combines modernity with mystery, appealing to both seasoned collectors and new hobbyists who still check their change in hopes of a life-changing find. There's also speculation that some of these rare 2003 pennies were part of test strikes, transitional experiments, or even special batches that somehow entered circulation unintentionally. The US Mint occasionally runs test strikes to check die alignment, pressure calibration, and metal adhesion before mass production, and if these pieces aren't properly destroyed, a few can leak into the public. This theory adds another layer of intrigue. What if the $2003 million penny wasn't an accident at all, but a remnant of experimental minting gone awry? Then there's the issue of Planchet lamination, another type of error where the thin copper plating separates from the zinc core due to contamination, improper bonding, or pressure variations during the minting process. When the copper layer begins to peel or bubble, it creates an irregular texture and visual distortion on the surface, often revealing patches of silvery zinc beneath. While such errors might seem like defects, collectors see them as proof of authentic production mishaps, especially when found on coins from specific years or mints. A 2003 cent showing this type of lamination, particularly in combination with other visible flaws, could become a numismatic treasure. Another remarkable variation observed is the broad strike error, where the retaining collar that holds the planchet in place during striking malfunctions, allowing the coin to expand beyond its normal diameter. The result is a penny that looks stretched or misshapen, with design elements pulled toward the edge, yet retaining full details without a traditional rim. Such coins are not only visually striking but mechanically fascinating, showing exactly how intricate and fallible the minting process can be. When you hold such a coin in your hand, it tells a story of pressure, timing, and precision gone just slightly off course, a 1 in a billion chance that transforms metal into a piece of history. Off-center strikes, another classic error, occur when the coin blank is not properly centered under the dies during striking. A perfectly centered strike yields a flawless penny, but even a small misalignment of 5%, 10%, or more can create a dramatic off-center appearance, exposing partial blank areas where the design should be. Collectors particularly prize coins that are off-center yet still show the date and mint mark, as those allow positive identification of origin while showcasing the error in all its glory. For the 2003 penny, examples struck 30% or more off-center while retaining the date have fetched thousands of dollars, and the rare combination of multiple overlapping errors, off-center double strike, broad strike, or capped die, pushes the potential valuation into millions. Another intriguing element lies in the realm of die cracks and cuds. Over time, dies used to strike coins can develop microfractures due to repeated pressure, eventually forming raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface known as die cracks or die cuds. A 2003 penny exhibiting prominent die cracks across Lincoln's bust or through the lettering could be extremely valuable, especially if the crack pattern is unique or resembles recognizable shapes, a phenomenon that has fueled countless collector nicknames like the Busted Bust or the Split Memorial. It's not just the error but the uniqueness of its appearance that can capture attention and increase value. When multiple such anomalies appear together, authenticity and rarity skyrocket. What makes the 2003 penny story even more compelling is the perfect blend of accessibility and mystery. It's modern enough that millions of examples still circulate today, yet rare enough that finding one with significant errors feels like striking gold. People across the United States still check their pocket change, magnifying glasses in hand, hoping to spot that subtle doubling or odd coloration that could hint at an extraordinary mistake. Some of these coins have shown unusual metallic tones, with shades of gold, pink, or dark violet, due to improper alloy mixing or environmental exposure during minting. These color variations, when verified as genuine and not post-mint alterations, can also add collector intrigue. Next. Today's story is about one of the most fascinating and talked about coins in American numismatic history, the 1989 D-quarter dollar, a coin that has stunned collectors and enthusiasts alike with its mysterious rise to fame and an unbelievable estimated worth of around $35 million, all because of the rare combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and historical oddities that make this piece of metal far more than just 25 cents. Imagine finding a coin in your change drawer that looks ordinary, bearing the familiar image of George Washington on the obverse and the majestic American eagle on the reverse, but upon closer inspection, you realize it has subtle flaws, tiny imperfections invisible to most people but valuable enough to change someone's life forever. That's the magic of the 1989 D quarter, minted in Denver during a transitional time in American coin production, when technological changes, die wear, and human oversight combined to create a handful of coins that were never meant to exist in their final form, each becoming a living relic of minting history and a symbol of how the smallest imperfections can lead to the greatest fortunes. The 1989 D quarter may seem like any other coin in circulation, but under the microscope, it tells a completely different story. Collectors discovered that some of these coins exhibited double die errors, where the design elements like the lettering Liberty, In God We Trust, and even Washington's profile appear duplicated or shadowed due to slight misalignment during the striking process. These double die errors are among the most sought-after features in any coin because they're proof of a mishap at the mint, and each variation adds a new layer of rarity, as no two double dies are exactly the same. Then there's the off-center strike, another mistake that occurred when the coin blank, or planchet, wasn't properly seated in the press before striking, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted. Some 1989 D quarters display up to 20 or 30% off-center strikes, leaving a crescent of blank metal on one edge, a feature that transforms a simple quarter into a collector's dream. Imagine the excitement of discovering one of these flawed coins in a roll from your local bank or hidden in a family coin jar. It's the kind of find that instantly ignites the imagination. But the mystery doesn't end there. A few 1989 D quarters have been reported with die cracks, raised lines running across Washington's portrait or the eagle's wings, caused by fractures in the die itself. Each crack forms a unique pattern, like a fingerprint, ensuring no two coins look exactly alike. Some even have cuds, where parts of the die broke away entirely, leaving blank raised areas on the coin's surface. To numismatists, these are signs of minting chaos, little accidents that escaped quality control, and every such error amplifies the coin's story and value. But what truly sets the 1989 D quarter apart is its rumored wrong planchet strikes, coins accidentally minted on metal blanks intended for other denominations like nickels or pennies. These coins are slightly lighter or heavier than a normal quarter and ring with a distinct tone when dropped. Such transitional errors are extraordinarily rare, often the result of leftover planchets getting stuck in the machinery during a production changeover. When found, they fetch astronomical prices at auction because they represent a perfect storm of rarity, error, and mystery. There are also examples of 1989 D quarters struck with partial collars, creating a railroad rim effect where the edge of the coin appears ridged and uneven. To the untrained eye, it might look like damage, but to a collector, it's a minting masterpiece that tells of mechanical imperfection during the striking process. Combine all these factors, and you begin to understand how one specific 1989 D quarter with multiple overlapping errors, say, a double die, off-center strike, and die crack, could reach an astronomical value in the millions. The market for rare coins thrives on uniqueness, and when one specimen exhibits not one but several minting mistakes, it becomes an irreplaceable artifact, the kind that serious collectors and museums will fight over to own. It's this rarity factor that pushed the rumored value of one such coin to a staggering $35 million, as verified by expert collectors who regard it as one of the most extraordinary examples of mint era history. Beyond the technical aspects, though, the 1989 D quarter carries cultural and historical significance. Minted near the close of the 1980s, a decade defined by change and innovation, it reflects both the precision and imperfection of human industry. The Denver Mint, responsible for striking hundreds of millions of coins that year, faced wear and tear on its dies due to high production demands, and even a small slip in die preparation or alignment could result in fascinating mistakes. As technology advanced, these analog errors became less common, making those that exist today even more precious. Every scratch, every tiny misprint tells a story of how that specific coin survived the minting process, escaped detection, entered circulation, and perhaps passed through hundreds of hands before landing in the collection of someone who recognized its true worth. Imagine the irony of a coin that may have once bought a piece of gum now commanding a fortune greater than most homes. Stories like these fuel the fascination of treasure hunters everywhere, leading people to dig through their change hoping to find that elusive piece of history. There are documented reports of collectors spending years searching rolls of quarters from the late 1980s, hunting for subtle differences in font thickness, spacing, or positioning of the D mint mark that might indicate a rare die pair. Sometimes the D is slightly misplaced or weakly struck, leading to theories that multiple die varieties exist, some more valuable than others. Others focus on the fine details of the eagle on the reverse side, looking for doubled feathers, faint die clashes, or anomalies in the lettering of United States of America and E pluribus unum. Each variation, however minor, adds to the growing mystique of the 1989 D series. The coin's rise in value also stems from its scarcity in pristine condition. While millions of quarters were minted that year, only a fraction survive in uncirculated or mint state today, and among those, error examples are even scarcer. Coins that were struck improperly often show weakness or damage that prevents them from grading highly, but in the few cases where errors coincide with exceptional preservation, the result is a once-in-a-lifetime combination that can command astronomical prices. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC have authenticated and encapsulated several of these rare 1989 D quarters, assigning them grades like MS-66 or MS-67 with designations noting their errors, and such slabs have sold for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But one coin, the legendary multi-error specimen, stands above them all, rumored to have been privately sold between elite collectors for around $35 million, a price that reflects both its unmatched rarity and its symbolic value as a tangible piece of American minting history. Think about what makes a coin valuable beyond metal content or face value. It's the story, the anomaly, the once-in-a-century mistake that humanizes an otherwise mechanical process. The 1989 D quarter embodies all of that. It's a coin born out of imperfection, elevated by curiosity, and immortalized by collectors' passion. Some experts speculate that there may still be undiscovered varieties lurking in private collections or bank rolls, waiting for someone observant enough to notice an odd strike, a misplaced mint mark, or a die crack that others overlooked. It's this sense of possibility that keeps the numismatic world alive, the thrill that at any moment, an average person might stumble upon a coin worth a fortune. Over the years, the legend of the 1989 D quarter has only grown, fueled by online forums, coin conventions, and treasure hunting channels where enthusiasts share their finds and theories. Some even claim that a few quarters from that year were struck with experimental metal compositions as the mint tested different alloys, and though these stories remain unconfirmed, they add to the intrigue and mystery surrounding this already mythic coin. Whether fact or folklore, the tales of extraordinary 1989 D quarters inspire collectors to look closer, think deeper, and appreciate the craftsmanship and unpredictability that define coin minting. It's a reminder that every coin in our pockets carries a bit of history, a story of art, economy, and human error. The 1989 D quarter just happens to carry a story worth $35 million. For the dedicated collector, the search never ends. The thrill lies not just in possession but in discovery, in recognizing that something ordinary can be extraordinary. So next time you come across a 1989 D quarter, take a moment to inspect it under good light. Look for doubling on the letters, check the alignment of the rim, notice if the eagle's wings look slightly off, or if the coin feels lighter or heavier than normal. You might just be holding a small fortune without realizing it. The Denver Mint Mark D can tell tales of die shifts, polishing errors, and repunched marks, all indicators that could transform your find into a piece of American treasure. And even if yours isn't the $35 million specimen, every discovery adds to the collective knowledge and excitement of the coin community. As collectors continue to explore, document, and celebrate the quirks of coins like the 1989 D quarter. Last. 1971 D quarter dollar. Today we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and fascinating stories in U.S. numismatic history, the 1971 D Washington quarter that has stunned collectors and experts alike, a coin rumored to be worth an astounding $29 million due to its astonishing combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and its historical context that make it one of the most talked about coins in modern American currency. Imagine a coin you might have spent on a gumball, a coin that slipped through millions of hands unnoticed, yet the one surviving specimen, or a few rare examples, could hold the power to make its finder an instant millionaire. That's the magic of coin collecting, and the 1971 D-quarter is a perfect embodiment of that magic, a coin born out of a period of transition, experimentation, and industrial change at the Denver Mint, where small mistakes often became priceless treasures. To understand why a 1971 D-quarter could ever reach such a mind-blowing value of $29 million, we must first go back to its origin, the early 1970s, a time when the U.S. Mint was adjusting to the new realities of post-silver coinage, shifting fully to copper-nickel-clad compositions after silver was discontinued in circulation coins. The Washington quarter, once a proud 90% silver piece, was now entirely copper-nickel layered over a copper core, a process that required immense precision, pressure control, and quality inspection. However, with millions of coins being struck every day and machinery running at near constant speeds, errors inevitably occurred, and among those errors, some became so rare and so visually or technically unique that their value skyrocketed beyond imagination. The 1971 D-quarter stands out in this regard because several known examples display strange double strikes, off-center minting, broad strikes, missing clad layers, and even mysterious transitional planchet errors, where the wrong metal blank, or planchet, was accidentally used in the striking process. Some collectors claim that a few 1971 D-quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 40% silver planchets intended for 1970 D Kennedy half dollars or foreign contract coins being minted at the time, creating a hybrid metallic composition unlike any other Washington quarter ever made. These transitional errors are the holy grail of modern minting anomalies, as they provide a direct glimpse into moments when the mint's production systems crossed paths between eras, and when the slightest human oversight turned ordinary coins into legendary rarities. The presence of these anomalies is why some 1971 D-quarters have been rumored to sell for staggering prices at private auctions or collector circles, where wealthy numismatists compete fiercely for ownership of one-of-a-kind minting marvels. But what makes the 1971 D even more intriguing is not just the errors themselves, it's the range of possibilities for how these errors could manifest. Some examples have shown partial clad missing, revealing a pure copper core that gleams reddish-orange through portions of the coin's surface, an effect caused when one of the nickel layers fails to bond properly during the minting process. Others display striking misalignments where George Washington's bust appears shifted or doubled, creating an eerie ghost-like image effect that captivates error enthusiasts. There are also documented cases of broad strike errors, where the coin was struck without the collar die in place, allowing metal to expand outward unnaturally, giving the quarter a wider, flatter shape. Another fascinating possibility is the double die obverse, where the design elements such as Liberty, In God We Trust, and even the date, 1971, appear doubled, often visible under magnification and dramatically increasing the coin's value to collectors who specialize in varieties and die errors. Some rumors even point to a few 1971 D-quarters exhibiting overstrikes on foreign planchets, possibly blanks meant for coins of U.S. allies being minted in Denver during the same period, which would mean these quarters bear a metallurgical composition different from standard U.S. issues. Such a find would be monumental, explaining the $29 million valuation attached to the right combination of errors and provenance. The Denver Mint, marked by the D Mint mark, was known in the early 1970s for its heavy output and intense production schedules, which often led to increased chances of small mistakes slipping through, especially when older planchets or misaligned dies were reused unintentionally. Collectors often analyze die cracks, die chips, and machine doubling on 1971 D-quarters to determine whether the coin they hold could be a unique mint anomaly. Die cracks can run through Washington's hair or across the eagle on the reverse, creating raised lines of metal that look like veins or lightning bolts, features that, when particularly pronounced, can increase desirability and thus market value. Machine doubling, often mistaken for a true doubled die, occurs when the die bounces slightly during the strike, creating a flattened secondary image that, while less rare than a doubled die, can still fetch premium interest if combined with other unique features. A full step back into history helps us realize why even a few accidental pieces from that year could carry massive worth. The early 1970s were turbulent for U.S. coinage, inflation, changing metallic compositions, and shifting minting contracts all contributed to heightened variability in the production process. 1971 was a pivotal year where mints were fine-tuning their post-silver era techniques, and errors from this time are often viewed as transitional artifacts. Now, imagine a coin that not only embodies those transitional challenges but also happens to feature a perfect storm of errors, say, a double die obverse, missing clad layer, off-center strike, and struck on a leftover silver or foreign planchet. Such a coin would be absolutely unique, making it plausible for private collectors or institutions to assign astronomical values, such as $29 million, in rare private dealings or insurance appraisals. Some 1971 D quarters also exhibit what numismatists call struck-through errors, where foreign material such as grease, cloth, or wire debris from the machinery gets caught between the die and planchet during striking. This can obscure parts of the design or imprint strange patterns onto the coin's surface, giving each affected coin a distinct personality. Another known phenomenon is the die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring part of one design onto the other. In rare cases, a die clash pattern can produce ghostly images of the eagle appearing behind Washington's head or vice versa. When collectors find examples of these complex, multi-layered minting accidents, their excitement is palpable, and the value increases exponentially when these errors coexist on one coin. The 1971 D quarter's mysterious rise in valuation also owes to its scarcity in pristine condition. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year, but most entered circulation immediately, suffering from wear, scratches, and nicks that destroyed their mint brilliance. Finding a high-grade uncirculated or proof-like 1971 D quarter is already challenging, but when one with verified multiple errors surfaces, it becomes an instant star in the numismatic community. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC play a vital role in authenticating these rarities, and coins with official error designations and high mint state grades often command jaw-dropping prices at auctions. Add in the mythic allure of a possible transitional silver composition, and it's no wonder the 1971 D has gained legendary status. The combination of Denver Mint's high output, historical context, metallurgical experimentation, and a handful of unexplainable anomalies creates the perfect breeding ground for mystery and speculation. Many collectors also point to the subtle design variations on Washington's portrait during this time, noting differences in the thickness of lettering, spacing between elements, and even minor variations in the eagle's feathers, details that might suggest die retooling or reuse, which could lead to die deterioration errors. These small inconsistencies add to the intrigue, as no two error 1971 D quarters look exactly alike, turning each into a one-of-a-kind treasure. Some even theorize that a few prototypes or experimental strikes could have escaped into circulation, explaining why some of these coins have been reported to weigh slightly differently from standard issues, a telltale sign of planchet composition variation. We also can't ignore the role of collector passion in driving up such massive valuations. When a coin achieves mythical status, fueled by rarity, mystery, and error combinations, the market value transcends its intrinsic worth, it becomes a cultural artifact, a piece of living history. Wealthy collectors often view owning such a piece as possessing a key to a moment in time, a direct connection to the people and machines that shaped America's everyday economy. The $29 million figure isn't just about the metal or the minting, it's about the story, the rarity, and the proof that perfection can hide in imperfection. And with the 1971 D quarter, that imperfection is what makes it extraordinary. Imagine finding one in your change today, perhaps a slightly off-center strike, a hint of doubling, or an unusual copper sheen where silver should gleam. You'd likely brush it off at first, but under a loupe or magnifying glass, you'd notice details that don't align with normal minting patterns, and that's where discovery begins.